All right, y'all. So, good evening, good evening, good evening. It is I, Jarek, aka Jarius D, your host of Lil Tea Time, and your favorite published author's favorite published author. It is Wednesday. Happy Hump Day to everybody. It is the 19th. So, if you did not file your taxes yesterday, you are officially past the deadline unless you got those extensions. I am excited about tonight's show. I am waiting for my guest to jump online so we can bring him in. But in the meantime and in between time, I just want to send everybody some love out there who are watching tonight's show. Please like, comment, and share. And subscribe to my page if you are not following me on Facebook. Um, for other people who can tune in and they can also watch a little tea time. I'm also accepting stars now, so if y'all see the star icon up there, please feel free to send stars if you are a fan of a Lil Tea Time via Facebook Live. Um, and thank y'all for everyone who supports the show. Just grateful to be here tonight with y'all. Grateful for tonight's guest who's I'm still waiting to come in. So when he gets here, y'all will have the opportunity to meet tonight's guest. How's everybody feeling? I hope everyone's having a great day. How is the weather where y'all are? I hope that the weather is great where y'all are as well. And yeah, it's a great day. Great day. Thank you to my viewers and my subscribers who are coming in. Thank y'all for coming in. I see that my guest is on, so I'm about to introduce him before I bring him in. I met my guest tonight through Mr. James Jaffe's. I'm about to say the self-publishing workshop. That's what I do. It through James Joffrey's acting workshop. He is a great, great guy who has been doing some great things. So I am excited to get him in here. So Mr. Matthew Jasso, if you are ready, Mr. Matthew, I'm about to bring you in, and we're gonna get you in for a little tea time. Gonna bring him in. Okay. Okay. Hey Matthew, send me a request to join the live and I can get you in here. If you're still out there for me, Matthew, just send me a request to join the live. Thank you to everybody coming in. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who's joining the live. Thank y'all for everybody who's tuning into tonight's show. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank y'all so much for everybody tuning in. Miss Taisha Davis, thank you for coming in. I see you out there. Miss Odax Amby, thank you for coming in. I appreciate y'all for tuning in tonight. How do I do that? Go to your the bottom of the screen. Requests. Go to the bottom of your screen and see if it would let you add see if it would send you send if there's a icon that would let you be added to my live. Matthew, I see you out there. You're trying to get in here. Okay. Okay, he says you don't see it. Okay. I got you, Matthew. We're going to work this out. We're going to work it out. Okay, let me see. Link. That's not what I need. Matthew, are you still there? Are you tuning in right now? I would need like a camera icon or something that shows that you're up there. Okay, I see your camera icon. There you go. All right, I think we got it. Thank you for all of your patience to everyone at home who. Okay.
Well, apparently you can do this through your computer.
Good evening, welcome.
Hello, sir. How are you today?
I'm well. I'm well. I am well. Thank you, and welcome to a Lil Tea Time. Great to have you here. Great to have you here, Mr. Jasso.
Just Matthew's fine, but yes, thank you for having me. I feel like my hair doesn't look that bad.
Got that name right first. So, we're going to dive in. Matthew, I met you, as I was telling everyone in the introduction, I met you in James Joffe's acting workshop, right?
Yeah, I think it was like one of those, he had written a script that needed a bunch of people to read it. So there was,
Yes. Oh, it was a cold read.
It was a cold read or something like that. And we read all the different parts. And I think it was only like 6 people showed up. So I think I played like an old man, a baby, a kid. So yeah, it was just one of those cold reads. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was fun. I had a great time, and that kind of transitioned me into taking his actual workshop. So,
well, I think it was weird for me because it was mid-COVID. So I had never done anything like that on Zoom before. So it was like, oh, okay, let's do this.
yeah, yes, I had a great time, and it was so fantastic to meet you guys. So now here we are later, and here on a Lil Tea Time. I'm gonna dive into your interview because I know that you've been working on some projects and things that I just wanted to fill people in on because I see that you're doing such fantastic work. So yeah, we're just gonna jump in. I know that you are a freelance writer.
Yes, I am well, I don't like saying like I'm some big professional. I have been a writer for most of my life, and probably it was about back in August, I had kind of given up on the dream of writing comic books, and there was I'm really involved in my church, and we do the VBS every summer. And last summer we did superheroes, so I had looked up a lot of Christian superhero comics. And because of that, this one Christian superhero comic company was looking for writers. And I applied, and then the guy liked my work, and I really liked the characters, and I went a little nuts and just wrote a bunch of stuff for him. And yeah, that's almost like just pure overexcitement and having a lot of time to write. I got this gig working for him.
Okay, like that. So, tell the viewers a little bit more about yourself.
Let's see. I live in Houston, Texas. I've adopted Texas as my home state. I was a military brat before, so before 2nd grade, I went to about 10 different elementary schools, lived in about 8 different cities. But when I was 8 years old, we settled in San Antonio, Texas. My dad got out of the military, and then it just kind of has become my state. But even at that time, I was writing comics. I'm in high school when Image Comics comes out. So the dream of being a comic book person was really kind of what I thought I was going to do all through high school. And then reality and life kicked in, and I always kind of had the writer thing in my mind, but I never really did it. The thing with writers and comics is it's very hard to get into comics as a writer, because as an artist, you can hand somebody your portfolio, and they can flip through it and go, this is good, we'll hire you, or this sucks, go work on it, come back in a year. But as a writer, it's very hard to be like, hey, spend 30 minutes reading my script. So I had applied a couple different times at different places. Actually, stupidly, I got offered a job in comics in my early 20s. And because the title they offered me I didn't like, I turned the job down. And to this day, I just was like, you should have just taken that job and then see where it would have taken you. And it was so, like, to look back now and go like, that was so dumb. But at the same time, quickly after that, my life completely changed because I became a father, and I probably wouldn't have been able to stick with it anyway. But then as a writer, I continued kind of writing, had a couple really close brushes with getting involved in the comic book industry. And then when I was about 27, 28 years old, so that's about 2000-ish, digital cameras came out and started becoming really easy to get a hold of. And then I was working at a retail store for computers, and iMovie had just come out for the Mac. So now, instead of having to wait for an artist or find an artist, I could write something, and then I could make a movie. And I would edit the movies at my work, and then I got a job with Apple. And when I got that job with Apple, they gave me all the new, really cool stuff, so I continued doing that. So I would shoot movies on the weekends, go to work, and to sell the products like Final Cut to edit, DVD Studio Pro to make DVDs, all these programs to make movies, I would edit my own films at work to demonstrate the software. And
great work.
So because of that, some guy in San Antonio was starting a film group, and he was one of my customers for Apple, and came to my work one day and was like, hey, we're starting this thing, do you want to be a part of it? And that kind of really kicked into high gear the idea of doing film a little more seriously. And I did that through my early 30s. And then then I did my midlife crisis wrong. I got married and had more children. So my kids are about, let's see, I don't know. Do I want to reveal how old I am and how old my kids are? I think I've already given a hint.
You've done the job of giving the hint, really good.
Yeah. My oldest is 26, and then I have a stepdaughter that is about to be 17. She's 16, and then my wife and I together have a son that's 10 and a little girl that's 4. So again, didn't buy the Corvette, got married and had more kids. So I'm never gonna have grandchildren, and I will always be a parent.
Well, congrats on your family and congratulations on all of your success. I also know from your notes that you also did a little film work that you were also just talking about from 2005 through 2009.
Yeah, I did. I was doing the little thing that was called Short Ends. I did a lot of short films, and what they did is it was actually a very interesting formula. So for anybody who doesn't know what the 48-hour film project is, what it is they, like, Friday night at 7 o'clock, they get a bunch of people together, they give you a genre of film, number of characters, a line that has to be said, and then you have 2 days to go shoot a short film, edit it, complete it, and bring it back Sunday night. And what these guys did with Short Ends is they took that formula but did it like quarterly. So the writers would come together, they'd give them that information, they'd have a month to write the script, they'd come back, directors would read their scripts, like pick names out of a hat, get their script, read the script, and then an hour later, actors would show up, they would cast their thing and go shoot it, and then they had 3 months to finish it. And then once the movies were done, they would rent out like a theater and show these short films. Now, of course, this is long before YouTube. This is 2002, 2003-ish. So the internet isn't the big mecca of everybody can throw their crap online. So it became like every 3 or 4 months was this big event, and we would go. And because of that, in the span of 3 years, I worked on about 16 different short films, as well as the films I was doing myself. So it was like a lot of editing, a lot of learning how to sound, how like the rules of filmmaking, what not to do, what to do, and the weird kind of side effect of that situation was that I, if I may toot my own horn, actually got to be a decent actor. and then through all that, because it was like this film thing, everybody else was like, I'm going to make this dramatic film, or I'm going to make this really cool artsy film. And I'm like, no, I'm doing a martial arts movie. Or no, I'm doing a Hitman movie. Or, hey, this is a comic book movie. I'm going to make it. And so I would always get chastised by the guy who was running it, like, dude, do a drama. Do a drama. And the one time I actually did a drama, I won that round. So it was like, it wasn't that I was a bad filmmaker, is that nobody cared about my martial arts, Hitman, whatever the heck I was doing. But yeah, so then ultimately, when I got married, and I kind of gave that up, and I would do a little bit here and there, but it wasn't until probably 5 or 6 years ago that I finally got to the point where personally I was making enough money that I could pay somebody to draw my comics. So I tried that, but I did not want to self-publish. I wanted to pitch it to another company and see if they would publish it for me, because I didn't want to have to do the convention thing or the Kickstarter thing. And unfortunately, nobody picked up the title. So I ended up going, okay, well, that was a nice try, and I left it alone. So I was pretty much, at that point, I'm 44, and I'm like, that's it. Like, it's done. Like, I wasn't mad, but I was like, I've tried everything. Comic books are just never going to happen. It's okay. I have a great life, whatever. And then, like I said, last August, I saw that thing, and I was like, what's it going to hurt? What's it going to hurt just to put it out there? And I'm so glad I did, because I did that, got that job, and then a month later, somebody who I had been talking to for 3 or 4 years in the industry messaged me and was like, hey, I need a writer for this thing. Will you write it? And I'm like, sure, no problem. And then a month after that, another guy who I talked to was like, hey, so now it's like out of nowhere, within like 4 months, I got 3 different offers from 3 different comic companies to do freelance stuff. Now it's all super low indie, but it was just interesting that out of the blue, suddenly now. So never give up on your dreams. Even if you're almost 50, never give up on your dreams.
And we'll save more of that for later. With your advice. But I do have to say this, Mr. Stan Lee, one of the greats, he also started in comics, and people doubted him for a minute too. And I will tell you this, it's never too late with comics. If Stan Lee did it, you can do it. So I want to encourage you to keep going.
Oh, I'm not stopping now. Like, I'm having fun, honestly. I'm having a lot of fun.
So
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go, because I'll just blab on, because I've been drinking coffee for the past hour. I know it's tea time, but I can't do tea. I have to do my, here, I'm going to hit my coffee cup.
I see that. So what you was just saying about fun is a great segue to the next question. When you are not working, what do you do for fun?
One more time, I'm sorry?
When you're not working, what do you do for fun?
I've been doing martial arts since I was a kid, but like even more of a passion than that is, like, I love movies. Like, I love to watch movies. It's interesting now that, like, so I was a heathen before, and didn't really pay attention to the kind of media I was introducing to my oldest kid when she was little, because I was only 20, and I was like, hey, if I'm watching this R-rated horrible film and you're sitting next to me, you're watching this R-rated movie with me. Mm-hmm. Now that I'm older and They're like, I should probably pull that back a little. Even though I did watch John Wick with my 10-year-old the other day, but that's because he really asked. And there's no nudity, but whatever. No, I really like movies. I have always been a big movie person. My dad, similar to me, he was a young dad. He was 21 when I was born. So I can remember going to see Star Wars in the movie theater. I remember going, like, we went to the drive-in all the time. Like, it was, and then, like I think the coolest, one of the, like, most kinetic I ever saw my father was when we finally could afford a VCR, and watching him like buy it and install it on the television, and like, and after that it was like every single weekend we were renting movies and watching different films. So that's always been a big part of my life. So it's weird in a way to sometimes watch a movie with him and him go like, wow, I bet you doing fight scenes is rough. And I'm like, yeah, Dad, it is. Because I've done that. That is rough.
So you're a big movie buff. What is your favorite film?
My favorite movie of all time is Enter the Dragon.
Oh, Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee is my just like hero through and through, life and martial arts.
Classic, absolutely classic. So what inspired you to develop your idea to be a comic artist?
Writer. My art is horrible. I think as a kid, I attempted to write novels, and I didn't want to, like, novels are a different kind of thing. Because novels, you have to be like, as he put his foot on the grass, it buckled lightly under his, as the cool breeze. I'm like, nope, I don't care about that crap. So I tried like 3 or 4 times to write a book, and I was like, I can't do that. I cannot sit here and describe everything. So comics were an interesting medium of like, I can just write the dialogue, I can write the action, and somebody else can draw it. And I was just really kind of drawn to that. Again, my dad being younger, comics were, this is late 70s, early 80s when I was really young. And it's like, my dad was not one of those dads like, no, don't read comics for kids. Like, my dad was like, no, here's these Batman books, and here's this comic, and here's this cartoon. So they become like my heroes, my archetypes as a child. And it's kind of weird to think about, like, everybody thinks like there's this big comic book movie boom now. But when I was a kid, Super Friends was on all the time. Spider-Man and His Amazing Friend. So there was still cartoons. Now, the quality of those things now, when you look back, was kind of questionable. But they were there all the time. So once being a writer came in, it was like, I can create my own things and have fun with that. And that was really kind of what started that love of writing comics and doing superhero stuff.
Okay. So what is your favorite comic that was adapted into a film?
My favorite comic that was adapted into a film? It's kind of hard to say because some of my favorite comics haven't hit yet. But I would probably say, to match it up to a comic, I would probably say the first Hellboy movie is the most like they just made the comic book into a movie. Like 300 probably is up there as well, because if you get that comic and just flip through it, it's the movie. Now they added a lot of stuff, but it is the movie. But the thing with Hellboy, like never has, with Ron Perlman playing Hellboy, have I ever seen like the personification and perfection of what that character was in the book is now in the movie. Not knocking Hugh Jackman or Robert Downey Jr. or any of those guys, but when you're talking like the specifics of this is the comic and this is the movie, Hellboy definitely.
And Hellboy 2 was good too. They were both.
It was totally a Del Toro movie, but very, very good.
I enjoyed them both. So you were definitely on something with Hellboy. I would say for me, I'm a big Spider-Man buff. Also, Batman is one of my favorites. Batman is my favorite. Like I have all of the Batman films because I fell in love with the details and the graphic and the action and all that it came with. Just seeing how they brought those comics to life, because I didn't get to grow up in the comic era. So to be a kid and being in the film era, those were the things that I immediately drew to. But to now be sitting with someone who got to be around during the comic era, it's like, I wish. And then those comics are like super dope and they make a lot of money and they're worth a lot more money.
Well, and see, I like a lot of the Batman movies, but I think there's one big ingredient that's missing from Batman, or the Batman character in live action, and that's this. Can we curse on here? Okay. Nothing is cooler than watching Batman be a dick to the Justice League. And we haven't gotten that yet. Just because they haven't been able to have a Batman long enough. But, like, to see, like, Christian Bale's Batman look at a Superman and go, you know, Superman be like, hey, Batman, thanks for helping me. And him go, you know, I couldn't have done this without you. And Batman go, I'm aware of that. And then just leave. Like, you don't get that in the live action. You know, Ben Affleck's Batman, even though he was in the Justice League, he was an old guy and he was just angry. And I don't even get how horrible those movies were written. But you don't get that aspect of Batman where he just has this, like, you know, the Justice League cartoon from the early 2000s was perfection. The whole, they do the team, they all join together, and then they're like, hey, we're all team now. And Batman's like, I'm a part-timer. If you need my help, and you will, call me. And then he just leaves. Like, we haven't seen that in live action with Batman yet. That's what I want to see, is him just being a prick to everybody else.
I gotta ask this because my uncle is watching. I gotta shout out to my uncle. My uncle is a Superman fan, and I am the Batman. So when the Superman Batman film came out, I was Team Batman. My uncle was Team Superman. I gotta ask you, when the Batman Superman film came out, were you Team Batman or were you Team Superman?
I think I was Team I hope this is good. And I left Team someone, what happened in this movie? I mean, let the flow hate. I could not stand that movie. That movie, to me, Batman versus Superman, is nearly as bad as Batman and Robin. Like, it is the worst comic book movie probably of all time, in my opinion. And I think a lot of it has to do with how good that movie could have been, but somebody had never read a comic book before and wrote what they thought was the movie that he had done before that, besides Man of Steel, before Man of Steel, Zack Snyder had done The Watchmen. And I think he should have just stuck with those heroes. The fact that he tried to give this dark and gritty and jaded view to all the DC characters, like, it just kind of was like, what? Why? Like, Man of Steel wasn't a bad movie, but by the end, I was like, cool. Now in the next film, he's going to be Superman. And instead, he was just a baby who cried, and, you know, now I'm really going to get it. But yeah, I did not like that movie at all.
Yeah, I enjoyed it because I was just Team Batman just to see who was going to beat who.
Yeah.
And so when I saw who beat who, it was like, okay, my prediction was right. For me, I got what I needed.
I think it's sad because I think all those actors were perfectly cast. Like Ben Affleck on paper was perfect. I even, like, back when Batman and Robin had come out and started going to, like, hey, they're probably going to reboot this, I was like, dude, if I did a Batman movie, I would cast Ben Affleck as Batman. Like, Ben Affleck as Batman is great. Henry Cavill as Superman, fantastic. We'll just stop there. Well, Jeremy Irons is Alfred. Jeremy Irons is always awesome. So yeah, but yeah, that was, yeah. Did I answer that question horribly?
You answered it. We're gonna jump into the next question. What challenges did you overcome on your journey as a comic writer?
I think for me, I never thought I would get a job doing it that way. Like the idea of being a freelance writer, I always just wanted to do my own thing. And I think sometimes, I'm trying to, like, it's a horrible example, but I think it's completely true. Transformers 3 movie, when he's trying to get a job and he keeps like turning down these jobs, and he's with John Malkovich, and he's about to say, hey, da-da, and John Malkovich's like, look, this is the job between you and the job you want. You need to take this job. And then you can get the job you want. And I think for me, I kept trying to push that, let me do my own thing. And it was like, going back to like writers and comics, Robert Kirkman, the guy who created Walking Dead, the guy who created Invincible, the way he got hired by Image is that he was self-publishing his own comic online, and they liked it and they hired him. Mark Silvestri has hired writers this way. So I just had to kind of, in my mind, like, you know what, let me just do this freelance. Let me write other people's stuff, and then it might lead to more, maybe not. I'm also very lucky in that the job I have, that's my real job, affords me the luxury of I don't have to do it for money.
Mm-hmm.
So now I can give it the time and the passion to write the best thing I can and not worry about I've got to crank this out or I've got to get this done as quickly as possible. And that really helps kind of get like, okay, let me find out who these characters are. And I don't have to build a world, especially with the Grok Comics as the one that you kind of found, is like somebody else had already created the world. Somebody else had already created these characters. And it was just a matter of like, hey, let me run with this guy with this story. And then let me do this, let me do that. And I was very fortunate in that Bill, the guy who owns the company, was just so happy to let me find him. Oh, I have who's Odats?
Oh, that's one of my viewers. That's my sister. She's asking, what comics have you wrote?
So nothing that's been published yet, because I just got the job in August, but there are 3 of my scripts that are in the coloring phase. No, I'm sorry, 2 are in the coloring phase, 1 is in the lettering phase. If you really want to read my stuff, I can send you the link. Is the book I tried to self-publish is in, it's not color, but it's black and white and it's lettered. There's 2 issues of it. If you go to Pharaoh Comics, so www.facebook.com/group/Pharaoh Comics, I think is what it is. Let me verify that as I awkwardly do this. No, I'm sorry, facebook.com/Pharaoh Comics, FERRO Comics. You can read the first 2 issues of a comic I created called Sector. But then there's another comic that I'm currently writing. I did the 3rd issue for. It's called Blue Jay for Aspire Comics. They're out there on Facebook. I can only say that I'm working on a series for Apogee Comics, but I can't reveal the name of the character or the title yet because it hasn't been made public. But for Grok Comics, I've written a lot of their stuff. Their main flagship title is called The Remnant. Number 4 is about to come out, and about 3 months, number 5 will come out, and that's one of my scripts. The Secret Files number 5 is about to come out. There's stuff in there. So it's like all over Grok Comics over the next year. I'll be everywhere. So I'll keep you guys posted, and I'll tell you when you guys can go look at stuff.
Okay, and she also put post links I would share with my lady friends and boys.
Roger that. Sounds good. I will definitely do that.
Yeah, and definitely send them to me, and I can also share them too.
Yeah, of course.
And I also had to say this because I know, like you said, that you're a comic writer, and comic writing versus being just a regular writer, it's very different. I also understand why you are not a published author, because that is a total different world. Having to write books, that is the most complicated thing to do.
And the thing for me personally, and I think this kind of lightly gets into the whole like owning your own company, is like, I'm married. I have little kids, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
A majority of my time is spent with them, whether it's carting them to dance classes or spending time with them on the weekends when we have time, or church or whatever. So the idea of on top of having, having a full-time job and then being
Mm-hmm.
that, and then, it sounds weird, but I also like to spend time with my wife. I mean, I know it's
That's
weird.
fantastic.
Like, what did I marry this woman for? She's not a broodmare. Like, I want to actually hang out with her and party with her. So you just get to that point where there is literally no time for me to run a business.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to write for somebody else and let them handle that has been a lot of fun because I can do the thing I love and not get involved with the things I hate. Even though I did offer to help him a lot with the Grok comic stuff, and I am now, not only am I a freelance writer, but I am the story editor for the comic book company. So I
Wow.
help him navigate where things are going. I work with the other writers and make sure like the things they're doing are on point with the overarching story of the thing, and also that they're doing within, because it's a Christian comic. The website's Tribulation Task Force. So when you send me a script of a dude cursing and killing a bunch of people, you missed the mark. That's not what this is for. So going through some of these things and like, hey, they don't curse, or hey, I know you like this character, but that's not his power set. It's really fun and interesting, and then also to talk to Bill, the owner, and say like, hey, I know you want to do these things, but you also have to tell these writers what to do, because writers like me, like when they're enthusiastic, they'll just keep writing scripts, and it's cool, except now we have 30 scripts, and none of them are going toward the goal you want. So it's been fun doing that as well, and kind of helping him control the narrative of the universe. Right.
Okay, so while you were moving around, I saw that you had some figures on a shelf. Were those action figures?
They are. So that's Nightwing from the animated series from the 90s. That's a batarang. That's a gift. So Nightwing is my favorite character of all time. And if you don't know who Nightwing is, you're wrong. You actually do know who Nightwing is. Nightwing is Dick Grayson. He was the first Robin who eventually grew up and became his own superhero. Now, his first costume was this horrible 70s big collar costume. And then he jumped to this weird one. And then this is kind of his current one. And then one of my other favorite characters, so Nightwing's my favorite character, and then Batman and Captain America are my second favorites.
Nice.
And then lastly, I know you guys have probably seen this. This is the poster for Mr. Miracle. It was a 12-issue miniseries about 3 or 4 years ago. And it's an amazing, amazing storyline about a character who I don't think had his own series in a long time. But yeah, so I have all kinds of toys everywhere. And then more Captain America, but the kids' toys, and the new Captain America, which I cannot wait to see him in live action.
Yes.
He finally appeared in something else. He was in 2 seconds of one of the episodes of the Moon Girl cartoon. So,
Okay.
So yeah, there we go. I don't know if I have any more toys that I can show you.
Anthony Mackie's going to play Captain America?
Anthony Mackie is going to be Captain America. His movie is called Captain America New World Order. So I'm very, very excited about that. I'm very intrigued to see what he does. I cannot wait to see what his version of Captain America is like and how they kind of play in that world.
Like that. We're going to dive back in. I got a few more questions.
Do it.
The next question is, how do you define success?
How do I define success? I define success by happiness. Because, if you're enjoying what you're doing and you're making enough money to do what you want to do, that's success. Because I see a lot of people out there who make tons of money, but they're hating life. But I've also seen a lot of people where I'm like, you guys can barely scrape together, food or money to do things, but they're happy to be together. And I think that is, to me, success. Not to kind of circle back to it too much, but I was 36 years old before I got into a relationship that I was like, oh, wow, I actually want to really, really marry this person. Sorry, all my exes. But I shouldn't be that way. But my point I was knee deep and on the cusp, in my opinion, of probably doing something big with film. And the moment I married my wife and then spent time with her as a married man, it was so easy to be like, that was fun. I'm here with you now. I don't care about that. And so that's why I've enjoyed the writing, because the writing isn't costing me any money. I can do it in the time when it doesn't take away from me being with my wife or my family. But yeah, to the success thing, it's just about happiness, man. Like if you're not happy, you can be as successful financially, physically, emotionally, but if you're not happy with your life and with the things you're doing, it's not helpful. There's a reason why everybody seems to go to therapy. And I'm not knocking therapy. I've done it myself a little bit here and there, but I think that, there's more to life than spinning your wheels for financial gain. And there's more to life than just, working towards your dream. You can fulfill your dream, but if you have nobody to share it with, what does it matter? So.
That's it. Love that. Great segue to this next question. What's the best advice you can give someone thinking about starting a business or pursuing their dreams?
Okay. Which one? Starting a business or pursuing a dream? It's two different things. Let me say this. From my experience with my work, which I don't want to really get into exactly what I do, is if you're going to start your own business, there's a thing called operating capital. And that means that you have money in the bank beyond what you're making daily. Because when something happens, and it will, and you don't get that next day of sales, you don't get, or something gets rejected, or something happens and money's not deposited, you don't want to be scrambling for money again. You want operating capital. You want anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000 sitting in your bank, so that when those things happen, you don't get caught with your pants down. And then, the big thing is, just make sure also is, if you're going to start your own business, don't start your own business to give yourself a job. It's almost a reverse thing for me to say this. It's exactly why I didn't want to start my own combo company as an adult, because I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this combo company, and then I'm going to have to go to at least every convention in Texas, which means I'm going to be gone at least 1 or 2 weekends every month, and it's going to cost me $300 to get there, $200 to stay the night, $400 to get a table, and I might make $50, or I might make $800. Like, now you're just working and spinning your wheels to get your name out there, and who knows if you're actually going to get anything beyond that. So that's where, with starting a business, I've seen so many times, hey, I'm going to open a restaurant, but the location is horrible, and the food is just like every other place around here. Well, no one's going to come, So now you've just given yourself a job, but you're not making any money. And I'm not saying that's happening with everybody, but I think a lot of people don't consider what that means. And then the other thing too is, starting a business is not. You're not Elon Musk. You're not going to start PayPal and then suddenly you're a millionaire. Most businesses don't start making money till year 4 or 5. So keep that in mind when you start a business. It's you're not going to make any money for the first 2 or 3. Know that. Be prepared for that. Again, operating capital, and know that when you get to that year 4 or 5, which usually is when you've paid off everything you bought to open the business. Now you're getting profits. So, and what was the other question? I'm sorry.
You done, that was fantastic. Fantastic. You answered that perfectly. We're going to dive into the next few questions before we play Candy or Corn. Give me your favorite quote and why.
I have two. Can I have two, or do I just get one? Let me just get one because it's a writing quote. It's a writing quote. So I'm going to do that one. It's by Jack London. He says, "You cannot wait for inspiration. You have to grab it by the throat." That's it. And I've, yeah, you can't sit here and go like, man, and sometimes it's hard, you know. I'm lucky because of the comic book companies I work for don't do monthly books, that I've yet to have a deadline. But at the same time, like, I give myself one, like, hey, I have a week to write this. Hey, I have a month to write this. Hey, I have a week or 3 days. And just getting into that mindset of like, yeah, it would be nice to spend 5 months trying to figure out what I'm going to write and then write it. Sometimes you got to just, that empty page on the screen is not going to fill itself.
No, that's the trouble of being a writer. With being a writer, you cannot wait on inspiration, and then that writer's block will literally take you out.
Yeah.
So you have to be proactive in that. Like, you literally have to go after it. It's part of the reason why I also started rewriting my scripts for my first books, just to kind of keep the information fresh with me writing the third book in the series. So rewriting the first manuscripts kind of put me in the mode of, okay, I can find some new inspiration while I'm working out whatever kinks in these old manuscripts. Yeah. So you definitely hit that on the head. Can't wait for it. You gotta go and get it because you'll be stuck.
And also, like, your first stuff's gonna suck. It's okay. Like, I back when I was doing the film stuff, I think the biggest thing that helped me, there was two things. George Lucas said something, and I thought was perfect. It was like, no film was ever done. They're just abandoned, which is really, but two is like, every project, be it a film project, comic book project, a writing project, you need to consider it R&D for the next one. Like, this is research and development for the next time I'm going to make sure the sound is right. The next time I'm not going to break the line. The next time I'm going to read the dialogue out loud so it doesn't sound like a bunch of idiots who are going, hey, how are you? I am good. How are you? Cool. Let's fight crime. Like, nobody talks like that, you know? So that's been another thing for me, is like, just consider everything research, R&D for the next thing. And
got it.
Just keep going.
Got it. I love that. The next question is, tell me 3 things you like to see better in your community of Houston.
3 things I like to see better in my community of Houston. Filmmakers, you don't know anything. Just have fun and let other people come onto your set who may know more than you, and listen to them and open up. Look, Bruce Lee said, or is it Bruce Lee? Bruce Lee may have said it, or there's a Chinese proverb of like, a full cup can't be refilled. You gotta dump, like, if you want really good coffee, you gotta dump out the old coffee and put something new in. Allow yourself to learn and take a critique. You know, one of the hardest things I ever had to do, or one of the things I always hate, is when someone says, read my script and tell me what you think. And then, like, giving them notes, and they're like, well, this is why I did that. I'm like, no, I'm not here to get an argument with you. You asked me for input. Use that input on your next rewrite. Like, I don't care about your about your script, or if you take any of my notes. I'm not here to argue with you. You asked what I thought, and I told you. And that's where, for me, like, I like, the worst thing I hate is if hey, read my script, and then I get back, dude, that was really cool. No, it wasn't. I know it's bad. Tell me what's wrong so I can fix it. I don't want you to tell me it's really cool. I want you to tell me all the crap that doesn't work so I can get in there and work it out some more. And then what was another thing? Is it advice? What am I? I'm sorry. I like totally went off a tangent.
Tell me 3 things you like to see better in your community. You just gave me
the film thing. You know, I think the other thing I would like to see is, look, count to 3 before you honk your horn at the person who hasn't gunned it at the green light. They're street light, not drag race activation cues. Relax. 3, 2, 1, honk. Look, I may have been checking my phone. I also may have to pull my car out of park and put it in drive because I was trying not to let my car roll into traffic. Chill your tits, guys. The place is going to be there if I don't automatically gun it out of the gate.
That's it.
Sorry, that is one of those things I'm like, "Argh." And then here's something. This may be calling out a couple people. If you see somebody you know walking down the street, stop and go, "Hey man, you need a ride?" Because I remember one time I didn't have my license for a while, and I was walking, and I remember like later that day somebody was like, "Hey, I saw you walking," and I was like, you know, this conversation could have been me thanking you for the ride.
I gotta speak on that because I'm one of those people. If you see me in traffic and you see me walking, do not honk your horn at me. Don't honk your horn at me.
Yeah.
Stop. And like, hey, you good?
Yeah.
Ask.
Yeah.
I might tell you I'm good.
Yeah.
But don't honk your horn.
Oh no, I had a different buddy stop. Hey, you need a ride? I was like, no, I live around the corner. He's like, you sure? I'm like, bro, but like I'm looking at my door. You're good. But yeah, I always crack up at that. Like, hey, I saw you walking down the street. Oh, really? Thanks. It's Houston. It's hot.
Those are not friends. Those are not your friends. If they see you walking down the street, they do not pull over and ask you to ride. Those aren't your friends.
I think that rounds out to just be good. Like, it costs you literally nothing to be nice.
That's it.
You know, I had to make a call to somebody, and the person, unfortunately, wasn't working out very well in my favor. And I was like, ah! And the lady was like, I know it's our policy. And I was like, you know, you're right. I'm sorry. Like, there's no reason for me to yell at you. Like, you're literally probably getting paid $10 to answer the phone. Yelling at you is going to do zero to solve this problem. Let's have fun for the rest of this call. And I think too many people just get uptight about themselves. So yeah, just be nice. Be nice. There you go. There you go.
Got it. Final question, and then we're going to play Candy or Corn. Okay. What would be your wish for the next generation?
Get your face out of your phone. I come from a time, as an old man, like, there's so much going on around you. Look at it, observe it, have fun with it. If you're hanging out with your friends and you're texting each other memes, you're not hanging out with your friends. Save that for when you're bored in church and you want to text them a meme to make them laugh at an inappropriate time.
Right.
But no, I think that sometimes get out of your phones, get out of technology. You know, I'm guilty of it too. I said it before, like, I'm a big movie buff. Like there's times with my wife, it's like, let's take the kids to the park. I'm like, that requires walking and, you know, being out. And she's like, yes, I know. And then we'll go. And it's just a wonderful time because we're not in front of the TV. We're interacting. We're talking. And I think that sometimes we miss that. We think messaging our friend through Facebook or texting each other, or, you know, like I'm guilty of it too. I have like 4 or 5 friends that all we do is shoot memes to each other, and maybe every 8th meme will be like, hey, you doing okay? You know, but other than that, we're just memeing each other to death. So I think, yeah, just call somebody and go to lunch. Put your phone down and have a lunch with somebody. You know?
This is the thing. This is the other thing with that. We'll be kicking it with our friends, and we'll be texting them while we're sitting there with them.
Yeah, and it's not a secret that you couldn't say out loud. You know, you text secrets. Like, can you believe what this girl is wearing? This is ridiculous. You know?
We do that because it's like we don't want them to hear what we're saying, so we'll text them what we're saying.
But yeah, that's my just get out of that, get out of the thing. And okay, I'm gonna really put it out there. Social anxiety is not a mental disorder. You're just nervous. You know why you're nervous? Because you've never been there before. That's just being nervous. You're fine. You're fine. Don't.
It looks like my guest just fell off the call. His device probably died. So we're going to Give him a second, see if he's gonna be able to get back in here. So y'all just hang tight. Seem like we just had a little glitch.
That may have been my bad. I'm sorry. But no, yeah, like, it's okay, and it's okay. Like, I'm not trying to, please don't take it as I'm downplaying mental health. My point is, like, it's okay to be nervous. Just go out there. Just push through. Sometimes if you push through it, it's okay. And sometimes it's not, you can't, and I understand. If you truly need help, give it. We work out at the gym. We bike ride, we do cardio, we take care of our bodies. It is completely okay to take care of your mental health, but don't default to, I have a mental health problem because I got nervous going to that party that I didn't know anybody. We all get nervous in that situation because we don't know anybody at the party. That's not a mental disorder, that's just being nervous. That's totally natural. Yeah, that.
Yeah, I'm a people person, so I know how to go in the room and have fun, but you definitely can spot the people who don't know how to be themselves in the room.
Do you remember what I said to you when you first joined that call?
No, I don't.
You joined the call and I was like, dude, it's been a while, huh? And you were like, yeah. And then after a few moments, you were like, I don't know you. And I was like, no, you don't. That's my favorite icebreaker. You know?
It was a perfect icebreaker because no one knew each other on that particular call that day. So when you said it, it was like.
And then when people later come in and I do it again, now the people that are there are in on the joke and they're watching what that person does on this situation because they were like, how did I handle that? Not like that dude.
Yeah. It was fun because it was something new for me, even as a person coming into something that was new. It's like, okay, somebody else who knows how to break tension.
Yeah. And you got who knows. I am an extreme extrovert as well, so I have no problem just messing with people.
I love that. I love it. So now we're going to dive into my favorite part of this show. It's called Candy or Corn.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you about these candies. If you would eat these candies, you can say candy. If you would not eat these candies, you can say corn. And I want to invite everybody at home who's watching. Y'all can also play along with us. If you're liking these candies, put your comments down in the comment section. Are you ready, Mr. Matthew?
Let's do it. Let's see what happens. Now,
right.
Hold on, wait.
First candy.
What kind of corn? Because I may like sacrifice for the candy if it's like some really crappy corn. Like, I don't want no cream corn. Is it like really fresh corn on the cob with butter and Tony's all over it?
Whatever corn you desire, friend.
That's the corn I'm going with.
All right. First candy up. York's peppermint patty.
The patties.
Next candy is 100 grams.
Oh, definitely. Is it the big ones or the little ones?
Either or.
Okay. The candy still.
Snickers.
Always Snickers. Before anything but spaghetti.
M&M's.
Yeah, maybe the corn.
All right. Mike and Ike's.
Yeah, the corn.
Lemon heads.
The corn, for sure. Those things are gross.
Okay. Twix.
Twix. The candy.
Skittles.
The candy.
Sour Patch Kids.
Ooh, the corn. The corn.
And the final candy is candy corn.
Oh, corn. Always corn. Candy corn is the only candy I've ever seen that is just made for arts and crafts.
They're really good for gingerbread houses.
For making little men, hats on little men. Like, I don't know why anybody would eat candy corn intentionally.
Shout out to all the candy corn eaters. This Oh, that's Candy Accord. Thanks for playing.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome.
All right. So, Matthew, tell people about your comic. How can they find your comic, and about how can they find you if they want to find
The comic itself is called Grok Universe Comics. That's GROK with an exclamation point. The website is tribulationtaskforce.com. You can buy the books there. There are also a couple of Kickstarters and Indiegogos that are going on that you can find the links there. There's also a Facebook group. Let me get you that Facebook group real quick. Make sure I've got it right. It is facebook.com/group/ oh, it's all numbers. Just look for Grok Universe Comics. I will send the link. And you can go there and look at covers, character drawings, and there's also links to the Indiegogo there as well. And then if you look up Apogee Comics, APOGEE.com, or Apogee on Facebook, they've got theirs. Aspire, ASPYRE, Aspire Comics is on Facebook as well. You can go to my own one, which has the stuff from 5 years ago, Pharaoh Comics. Or you can find me. I also do a podcast called We Are the Batman, and you can find that. There's a Twitter, We Are the Batman, on Twitter. You can find my group at www.facebook.com/group/Fanboy Junction with a K. Fanboy Junction was a podcast I did a long time ago. We Are the Batman is now in there. You can also find me on Twitter at Mr. J Ninja, just the letter J.
Okay.
Come at me if you want to fight with me about my opinions on movies and comics, or you just want to like tell me jokes, or you want to get on my meme chain. Let me know. We'll go on that. I'll share some arts and crafts for candy corn if you want. But yeah, that's probably all my socials. And then, like honestly, what am I on Facebook? Oh my gosh, I think I'm just my name. Yeah, Facebook.com/Matthew Jasso, JASSO is the easiest way to find me. And I'm always good down to talk about movies and comics and anything else. You just kind of come and play, and I'm always around to have fun if you're down to have fun.
Yeah. Hey, so your podcast, loving the title already because I'm a Batman buff and I'm a Batman fan. So when you want to invite me to do your show.
We keep talking about getting some guests on. We are about to, actually not this Friday, but next Friday, begins our dive into the live action films. So the last Friday of every month, we will be discussing live action Batman movies. And due to a voters poll, we're going to start with Batman 66. Because we weren't sure anybody cared about Batman 66. But the voters called it, and we will be talking about Batman 66 next Friday on our podcast.
Oh my God. Okay.
So yeah.
I don't have any of the older Batman films. I don't have the older ones. But what I will do is I'll watch the new Batman films, and I'll just talk like I know what I'm talking about. But I definitely do your show.
It was interesting because I actually hadn't seen that movie in decades, and then watched it and was like, this isn't as much crap as I thought it was going to be. I mean, it is what it is. Like, it's kind of interesting to me. I always crack up when people go like, oh, it's not Batman. I'm like, no, that's what Batman was like in the 60s. Like, go read those comics. That was definitely what he was like. So, yeah. And yes, I'll send you a link. I'll put the links on. I'll send it to Derek, and he can send it to everybody.
Yes.
Or if you find me on Twitter, it's on there as well.
I gotta say that I gotta ask this real quick before we go. With the new Batman film with Robert Pattinson, did you see that one?
Oh yes, I did.
What were your thoughts?
I thought that Robert Pattinson, even though I don't think he's the best actor to portray Batman, he is the only actor who I've ever seen actually be able to put a performance through the cowl. And I thought that seeing him do that, and finally seeing Batman actually working with the cops respectfully and working with them and treating them as equals, unlike the early ones where it was like they're just bumbling. I harken back to the 90s comics, which is my heyday of comics. So I really, really liked the movie. Thought it was a little too long. Like, it wasn't horribly long, but it was definitely one of those times of like, oh, we have more movie. Well, I like this world. I'm cool. But I thought he was fantastic. His Bruce Wayne was weird, but it's the first movie. I always say, let's give him 2 or 3. Let's give him another film, see if he develops the Bruce Wayne thing. But I really liked it. I'm looking forward to the next one. The Penguin show looks like it's going to be interesting. I really, the problem I have with the length is more about like, from a writing standpoint, I think you could have trimmed that storyline down, but somebody got paid a lot of money to write that and make that, and it wasn't me, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't have anything negative to say because, again, I'm a Batman fan, and I would not go against the Batman brand. So, what I'm going to say to end this conversation is Zoe Kravitz playing Catwoman.
I thought she was fantastic as Catwoman. I thought every performance in that movie was fantastic. If you had told me, oh my gosh, his name's escaping me. Oh, John. If you told me John Turturro was gonna be the standout villain performance, I'd have been like, no. But like, he was fantastic. Everybody was fantastic. Like I said, I can't say it was too long. It just was like, okay, I guess we're going here. But I really did enjoy it a lot.
Yes. Well, Matthew Jasso, thank you for coming by for a little tea time tonight. I have enjoyed you. My viewers at home are also enjoying you tonight. So you got a lot of love coming in here. I want to thank you again for coming by tonight. I don't want to hold you up because I know you got to get home to your family. So go and enjoy your night with your family. Thank you again for coming through. And when you're ready for me to come do your podcast, I'm definitely around.
Hey, man, I will definitely let you know. And I really do appreciate you having me on your show. I'm sorry I was drinking coffee instead of tea.
No, you're okay.
But that's how I roll. Even at 8:30 at night, I'm drinking coffee. But it was a blast. I really do appreciate your time, you letting me be open, and you letting me rant way longer than I probably should have on some of your questions.
You're great. Thank you. It's been fantastic, and it's so good to catch up with you.
Yes, definitely, sir. You take care.
Yes, sir. You as well. Have a great night.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening to me rant. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. So that is a little tea time tonight with Mr. Matthew Jasso. Thank y'all for tuning in tonight. I appreciate everyone for taking out your time and hanging out with me tonight with me and my guests. So y'all know I have to spill my tea before I go. So, of course, y'all know what tomorrow is. Tomorrow's 420. So to all of the smokers, if y'all gonna celebrate and partake in 420 tomorrow, have fun for me. Be safe. Stock up on snacks if you have not already got your snacks yet, because you may not want to move around tomorrow. And hey, partake for me, right? Love you guys for that. Also coming up, we got a few more interviews are coming up as well. We also have more events coming up here in the city. So Shreveport 422 Earth Day celebration is going on. Outdoor cleanup. It's going to start at 11 a.m. to 12 noon. And the meeting place is at the Corner Lounge at 800 Louisiana Avenue. So you guys feel free to get out there for the Earth Day cleanup on 4/22. That's this weekend, right? Also, as a reminder, got to continue to send shout outs to Shayna Renee, Scooter Man, and Shayna D Music, who are gearing up for Smoking Aces, dropping May the 11th and 12th. That's going to be their play that they're going to be premiering at the East Bank Theater. So do not miss it. Get your tickets so you guys can be in the place for that. And shout outs to them. Also happening May the 2nd, the Shreveport Green Give for Good with special guest, the Renzi Center, will be at the 7th Tap from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. So feel free to go out there and show them support and show them some love. Also, I have to give a shout out to Mr. Jerome Atkins, of the founder of Greenbrook Love Day. He is having his next event May the 27th at 8 a.m. and it is the Greenbrook Love Day celebration honoring Mr. Jerome Atkins, hosted by Kelvin Chairman Wesley. So do not miss that event, you guys. And that is my show for tonight. I am about to go and have some fun and hang out with my fam. But before I go, y'all know I have to promote these books. So, coming full circle, the revised edition. Coming full circle 2, Marriage, Money, and Mayhem. The Confessions of a Conceited Drama King are sold out on hand, but they are available on Amazon.com. Quarantine Quest, my newest project, available right now. And Catching Up with Me, another one of my projects that are all available right now. You can check them out at Agora Borealis at 421 Lake Street, downtown Shreveport, and at Amazon.com. Just type search Jarius Deyon, that's Jrayis Deyon, Deyond, and get into it. And thank you to all of my royalty readers and all of my tea timers who support the books and who also support shows. You can also check out A Lil Tea Time on YouTube at Jared with A Lil Tea Time, and over at Spotify with A Lil Tea Time as well. Also, check out Grade A Grub, which is also available on YouTube if y'all have not yet checked out Grade A Grub. And as I say after every single show, you matter. Let's build and go higher Shreveport. And remember to be great on purpose and not by accident. The future is now. I am Jared, aka Jarius D, your host of A Lil Tea Time and your favorite published author's favorite published author. Until the next episode of A Lil Tea Time, you guys be great, stay well. All right, love y'all out there. Bye. Thank you. I see everybody out there. I just need it. I love that. I love you too. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much. Hi, Mom. I love you. Good night.